Hey, look, y'all need to stop saying God bless America, pray for America. America is cursed.
There's a reason that America feels cursed. From its beginning to its present, this so-called Christian nation has been drenched in blood, greed, and spiritual filth. What we're seeing today, the chaos, division, addiction, violence, it isn't random. It's divine consequence. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, corruption has appeared on land and sea because of what the hands of men have earned, so that he may let them taste part of what they have done, that perhaps they will return.
Good people, you need to sit down and grab your popcorn for this. Because something I never thought I will see in my lifetime is happening right now. People are finally admitting that America might actually be dealing with a curse, a spiritual consequence, a reckoning for how this country treated Black Americans for centuries. Let's watch this.
Well, America is descending into madness. You're descending into madness because you're cursed. That's why I've said you cannot properly analyze geopolitics. You cannot properly analyze geopolitics if you exclude the reality of divine justice. And you cannot be as unjust, as brutal, as degenerate, as wicked as America has been, and actually think that the consequences are not going to be severe. You understand? The suffering of whole continents at your hands is going to ricochet back onto America. I said you're cursed because you can't have any sort of religious sense, any religious sense of justice and not know that. Even if you call yourself a Christian, if you call yourself believing in God in any way whatsoever, you cannot pretend that you don't know that America is cursed, and it has been cursed ever since you all landed over there in the first place and started massacring the indigenous people and stealing their land. What your Zionist brigades are doing to the Palestinians right now is just a fraction of what you did to the Native Americans. What Hitler did was a fraction of what you did, in fact. And you really think that you were going to be able to escape the consequences of that? Of course not. Obviously not. Why do you even think for a minute that you could escape the consequences of decimating millions upon millions of people? To think that you would get away with that, wallahi, to even think that you could get away with that, to even think that you would never be held accountable for that is
of Black families, Black labor, Black bodies, and Black humanity. This wasn't a footnote. It was the foundation. Because after slavery, did this country heal? Did it try to fix anything? No. They doubled down with segregation, Jim Crow, lynching, redlining, convict leasing, systems designed to break Black people spiritually, mentally, financially, and physically. This wasn't ancient history. It is within our grandparents' memories.
Of all the people that lost their lives horribly, tragically, children, families, communities, groups of people, the Indians, the indigenous, the African American, the slave, all of that energy harvesting where we are driving and working, and it's only a matter of time before this shit start crashing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I think this is supposed to happen, because why would all of that energy be harvested on the very lands, the same streets we drive, where your house is, where you work, where you trying to party, where that bar? Why would it not go to shit? You know what I'm saying? It should. It should go to shit. We should be depressed. We should feel something that's abnormal and unwelcoming and sinister, because think about all the spiritual energy harvested from years and years of people suffering at the hands of so-called America, or at this so-called life we trying to live. You know, it should go down. It should go. It should be issues. Like, I would be more concerned if, with all that karmic energy that America has from killing and pillaging and colonizing groups of people over hundreds of years, and being racist and segregating and murdering, I would be questionable if we felt super great and super happy on this land.
So now, when people look around and see America crumbling from the inside, the division, the chaos, the moral decay, and they start whispering, maybe this country is cursed. And I'm shocked it took them this long to figure it out. Because you can't build a country on stolen labor, broken families, and centuries of oppression, and expect blessings to rain down forever. It doesn't work like that.
So as a Gentile, I'm here to profess, black people, you are Israelites, you are the chosen ones, you are a prestigious people. Your history is in the Bible. In order to better understand why you are Israelites, I'm going to bring forward two witnesses from Deuteronomy 28. And if you're not familiar with it, Deuteronomy 28 outlines the curses of the Israelites for not hearkening unto the voice of the Lord. Now I'll bring forth my first witness from Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So, because you didn't keep your end of the covenant, follow the law, statutes, and commandments, you've been cursed. Let's take a look at one of those curses and see if it applies. Deuteronomy 28:66 reads, And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. Now, I don't know about you, I live in America. Black people have no assurance of their life, and it's because you're Israelite.
How's everybody doing today? So, I see, once again, we've had it put into our face that white folks, we are the problem. We're the problem. We're the problem. Our refusal to honestly deal with our history of hatred, racism, genocide is a problem. Our inability to see where the unhealthiness of our culture is the problem. Our inability to see how racism and Christianity all tied up in together is a problem, is the problem. And the biggest problem is that we do not see we are the problem. God bless everyone. Have a beautiful afternoon.
Americans, listen closely. You've been living under a curse for nearly 50 years, and I bet that most of you don't even realize it. The curse began in 1979 when the Iranian regime first raised their voices with the chilling chant, "Death to America." That curse didn't fade. It wasn't symbolic. They are still chanting it today. If you think this curse is only on the nation, let me tell you, you are wrong, naive, and ignorant. This curse has seeped into every part of our lives, our families, our children, our relationships, our health, our finances, and our peace. Look around. Does anything in life ever just work, or is it one storm after another? In Numbers 22:4-6, the king of Moab begged Balaam to curse the Israelites because he knew the power of words. Whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. This isn't just the Old Testament, this is a spiritual reality. Believe it or not, whether you love this nation or resent it, if you are here, you are in it. This curse doesn't wait for your permission. And for those living in America while speaking harm over it, even hoping for his downfall, understand this, you are not just speaking against a country, you are speaking destruction over yourself, your children, and your future generations. The question is, what are you going to do about it? If you are a follower of Christ, don't underestimate the power of words. Don't live in fear. Jesus gave us authority over every curse and attack. Stand firm in prayer. Jesus is with you. If this stirred something in you, drop a comment and share this with a friend.
There's a reason that America feels cursed. From its beginning to its present, this so-called Christian nation has been drenched in blood, greed, and spiritual filth. What we're seeing today, the chaos, division, addiction, violence, it isn't random. It's divine consequence. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, corruption has appeared on land and sea because of what the hands of men have earned, so that he may let them taste part of what they have done, that perhaps they will return. Quran chapter 30 verse 41. America wasn't founded on freedom. It was founded on genocide and hypocrisy. Millions of Native Americans exterminated, their land stolen, their children kidnapped into Christian schools, where they were beaten, raped, and stripped of identity. The same people quoting the Bible used it to justify mass murder. Before the US even called itself a nation, it was burning women alive during the Salem witch trials, projecting its own evil onto others. They screamed about witches while committing acts far darker than any spell. They seek to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah will perfect his light. Quran, chapter 61, verse 8. What they call purity was actually paranoia, fear, and hatred, the very foundation of their empire. Then came Mormonism, born into the same soil, mixing Christianity with paganism, polygamy, and blood atonement. These were not fringe movements. They shaped US politics and culture, from manifest destiny to God bless America. The nation began to believe it was chosen by God to dominate others. That's not faith, that's arrogance. The Prophet Muhammad warned, arrogance is rejecting the truth and looking down on people. Sahih Muslim 91. And what's more arrogant than a nation claiming God gave it the right to rule the earth, just like Israel is doing right now, and its people, the chosen ones, the very same people running America. Just look at the culture. The United States produces more serial killers than any other country in history. Over 3,000 known cases. Hollywood glorifies cannibals, serial killers, and demonic acts. It celebrates sin as freedom. Even Netflix has turned human depravity into entertainment. This isn't coincidence. This is a mirror, a reflection of the nation's inner sickness. Then the hearts of those who disbelieve became hardened after that, like stones or even harder. Quran, chapter 2, verse 74. The same obsession with horror, violence, and death runs through its politics, its movies, and its streets. When a nation normalizes evil, Allah removes mercy from its heart. The American empire didn't stop at home. It expanded, invading, occupying, and toppling over 80 countries, from Vietnam to Iraq, from Iran to Libya. Millions of lives lost in the name of freedom. Their military doesn't defend, it dominates. They maintain over 750 military bases all across the world, controlling oil, currency, and governments through blood, and do not commit abuse on the earth, spreading corruption. Quran, chapter 2, verse 60. And yet they call Muslims terrorists. The biggest terror organization on earth wears a suit and waves a flag. Islam forbids everything America profits from: interest, pornography, gambling, intoxication, exploitation, and oppression. So they attack it. They bomb Muslim lands, invade other nations, steal resources, and brainwash their citizens to fear Islam. They demonize hijabs, but glorify nudity. They ridicule prayer, but worship money. They want to deceive Allah and those who believe, but they deceive none except themselves, yet they perceive it not. Quran, chapter 2, verse 9. America doesn't hate Islam because it's violent. It hates Islam because it's pure, because it exposes the filth that they live in. Behind the American flag lies another flag, the Zionist one. For decades, Zionist lobby groups like AIPAC have dictated US foreign policy. Presidents come and go, but the alliance to Israel never changes. Billions of dollars are sent yearly while American cities decay, poverty rises, and children die from fentanyl. You see, many of them taking the disbelievers as allies. Evil indeed is that which they have sent ahead for themselves. Quran, chapter 5, verse 80. The same elite networks, banks, media, Hollywood, and tech promote degeneracy, destroying faith, and manipulate minds. Their goal, to make humanity forget God so they can play God. Have you noticed America's obsession with monsters, vampires, demons, and the apocalypse? It's not entertainment, it's confession. Its myths mirror its crimes, from witch hunts to cannibals to mass shooters. America creates monsters because it is one. It projects its own darkness onto screens so people never see it in the mirror. And thus we made the oppressors allies of one another because of what they used to earn. Quran, chapter 6, verse 129. Just look at America now, divided, decaying, drowning in drugs, shootings, suicides, and debt. Its people no longer know right from wrong. They mutilate children, glorify sin, and call it progress. Its youth reject God, its leaders worship wealth, and its military serves Zionist greed. When we intend to destroy a town, we command its affluent ones, but they definitely disobey therein, so the world comes into effect upon it, and we destroy it with complete destruction. Quran, chapter 17, verse 16. That is what's happening right now. America is being destroyed, not by enemies abroad, but by the rot from within. The United States calls others terrorists, but it has terrorized the planet. It preaches morality while funding genocide. It claims to defend freedom while silencing truth. It builds idols of liberty while worshipping satanic systems. And every empire built on blood ends the same way. Rome, Babylon, Pharaoh, and now Washington. Do not think Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them for a day when eyes will stare in horror. Quran, chapter 14, verse 42. America's downfall is not political, it's spiritual. The curse it unleashed upon others has come home. You cannot mock God, slaughter nations, and poison the earth without consequence. The land cries out, the blood speaks, and justice is coming, whether through history or through divine wrath. And perhaps then the world will see that Islam was never the enemy. It was the truth they feared all along. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon you and your families.
I don't know if anybody else can see this, but I've always said this to myself, and I've said this to a few people in my family. I think this nation is cursed actively. And you know, we can, you know, I'm getting into the spiritual stuff. I'm getting into my word. I'm becoming a Christ follower. But something in me tells me that this nation, the land that we are sitting on, will never recover. And we can see this, I mean, firsthand. Look at the unrest in our nation. Look how our people have never been okay. Our people have never been at peace with ourselves. Our people have never been in eternal peace with itself. This nation has always been at war, whether it's been at war with another nation, whether it's been at war with ourselves. Since they signed the Declaration of Independence, we have seen some sort of resistance or violence attached to the name of this nation. This nation cannot rest, and it will not rest. You can't acquire a nation the way we acquired it and not expect to feel something, right? They always tell us, right? These sayings that transcend our generations, they even transcend some of our bloodlines, right? When you think of what goes around comes around, karma's gonna come get you. Karma's a bitch, right? Like why are all these karmic sayings always in rotation, right? Why are all these spiritual sayings that basically whatever you do is going to come back, and you are going to reap what you sow, right? And this is just, these are all saying the same thing. Bad deeds do not go unchecked. Bad behavior does not go unchecked. The people in this nation will never be at peace internally because of what happened on this soil, on this land, has not been addressed. And people think that, okay, well, I can do something bad and I just die and it'll just go away. Your family lives with that. Your ancestors live with that. We're seeing that today. They are living with this unrest inside of them. This is why this nation has always been at war. 11 wars. 11 wars. How much blood do you think this nation has shed? We've dropped 2 nuclear bombs. We're the only nation that has used nuclear weapons. This nation is violence. All that violence, all that bloodshed, all them tragedies these dudes thought they could do to these people on this land. Whether it was the Native Americans first, then move over to chattel slavery, right? The transatlantic slave trade. Then we still got the Mexican-American War. These people were fighting everybody in proximity. It's proximity with this nation. This nation will kill if it could. This nation has a violent tendencies, has violence in the spirit. There's unrest in the spirit, and it will not go away until there is acknowledgement and there is atonement. We don't know how these spiritual things work. That's the cool part. We don't know how they work. I'm just simply observing how this system works. I don't know how it works, though. The inner workings, that's for God to know, right? Or the creator, or whatever you believe in. But whoever you believe in, whatever I believe in, are most likely the same person or thing or being. And they are not going to let this nation roll around in money before it has to roll around in its filth. And that's what this nation is doing. It's going to take people to understand that even though they weren't the ones who did it, someone's going to have to step up and take the bullet for this one. So, they have not talked about anything that has happened on this soil. All they care about is money, 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 money. This nation is destined to fall.
You know, with everything going on right now, you'd almost think that like America was cursed or something, you know? Like it's feeling like it was built on like some ancient Indian burial ground or like, wait a minute.
So we're here, we partake, and it's time for us to know who we came from and who we are, and who the 12 tribes of Israel are, and why it's very important, because you've got African Americans, quote unquote, black people walking around who in the majority have no knowledge of where they came from. They don't know what their culture is, what their tribe, what their identity is. And so they've been given a false culture, right? But they've still swagged it out. To this day, African Americans are the most influential culture in the world. Period. Period. Music, mathematics, the way we talk, the way we sing, the way we swag, style, soul, grace, the move. Everyone has partaken of this. Period. Period. And they deny it, but it's the truth. It's the truth that not only did they influence all the culture and give people bring the cool to the world, because that's what the Hebrew people did. Like, they were supposed to be a priestly nation. The people are like, yo, what is the Hebrews doing? We should follow what they're doing, right? So the same thing in America. They built America. You know what I'm saying? America was built on the back of slaves, period. That is the curses of the Bible hitting them, okay? Because they turned away from their righteous Elohim. They denied the very Son whom he sent. And they got pushed all the way into West Africa, Nigeria, where all the slaves were taken from. Modern-day Ghana, on a slave ship, on a slave map, used to be called Judah. Judah. It was the kingdom of Judah because the Jews lived there, and that's where all the slaves came from. Judah, Nigeria, Ghana, Nigeria, and other places too. I'm not saying, but we're saying the majority is the Jewish people. And the reason that all this happened to them and continues to happen to them, right? This genocide and different things that people are fighting for, you know, why all these protests are happening, why the race war is happening in the first place. It's not a race war. This is biblical. This is biblical. And those who have understanding know how to supersede it and go beyond it and begin to see through this whole trash that they call a race war, whites against blacks. It's not about that. We're trying to see the truth. This is biblical. And why this is even happening in the first place is because what happened in the beginning and how the Hebrew people did not live according to the Most High's commands. They did not keep the commands. They turned their back on him. They walked away from him and they dropped the ball. And so now here we are with the Jewish people in the midst of us as African Americans, and no one knows. Some people do know. There's a whole movement. There's a whole movement. It's a whole movement. But the point being is that we're here to share the good news of that, and then we get to go back and read the prophecies and realize, whoa, what's really going to happen? And now I get it. This has always been about him making the Jew, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes all black men. Now, I will also preface with this. Separating people by skin color didn't happen until the 1600s and was based off of white supremacy, period. We didn't even separate people into colors until the 1600 AD. But the moral of the story is that Jesus himself was a black man. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were black men. Okay? The 12 tribes of Israel, black men.
When white people in the United States balk at the idea of paying reparations to black Americans who descended from slaves, they disagree with the Bible. Reparations are a form of compensation or restitution made to those who have suffered injustice, particularly those in cases of racial inequality, discrimination, and slavery. The idea of paying reparations to black Americans is not a new one. It has been a topic of discussion for decades, if not centuries. However, it has gained renewed attention and support in recent years, following the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the growing recognition of systemic racism in American society. As a Christian, I believe that reparations are not only a matter of justice and equity, but also also a reflection of God's character and values. In the Bible, we see numerous examples of God's concern for the oppressed, the marginalized, and the downtrodden. From the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt to the ministry of Jesus among the poor and the outcast, we see a consistent theme of God's love for those who are on the margins of society. One of the key biblical principles that underlie the idea of reparations is the concept of restitution. In the book of Leviticus, we see God commanding the Israelites to make restitution to those whom they have wronged. Leviticus 6:1-5 says, "If anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit or security or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely in any of all the things that people do and sin thereby, if he has sinned and has realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery when he got it by oppression or deposit that was committed to him, or the lost thing that he found, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore in full and shall add a fifth to it and give it to him to whom it belongs on the day that he realizes his guilt." This passage emphasizes the importance of making restitution to those who have been wronged, and not just restoring what was taken, but adding to it as a form of compensation. This principle of restitution can be applied to the issue of reparations to Black Americans who have suffered centuries of enslavement, discrimination, and systemic oppression. Another biblical principle that supports the idea of reparations is the concept of Jubilee. In Leviticus 25, God commands the Israelites to observe a Jubilee every 50th year, during which all debts are forgiven, all slaves to be set free, and all property to be returned to its original owners. This was a radical idea of economic justice designed to prevent the accumulation of wealth and power in the hands of a few, and to ensure that all members of society had equal access to resources and opportunities. The idea of Jubilee can be seen as a model for reparations in that it seeks to address the root causes of inequality and oppression rather than just treating the symptoms. By forgiving debts, freeing slaves, and returning property, Jubilee seeks to create a more just and equitable society, one in which everyone has the opportunity to flourish. As a Christian, I believe paying reparations to Black Americans is only a matter of justice and equity, but also it is a reflection of God's values and character. Through the biblical principles of restitution and Jubilee, we see a model for how we can address the historical and systemic injustices that have plagued our society for far too long. While the issue of reparations is complex and contentious, I believe that as Christians, we have a responsibility to seek justice.
People who denied racism for years are finally saying, maybe something spiritual is happening. Maybe we are paying a price. Maybe the treatment of Black Americans brought consequences on us. And despite all of this, Black Americans didn't just survive. They created culture, they created music, they created movements, they created inventions, they created change. While the country was breaking them, they built the very culture people worship today. You can call it strength, you can call it resilience, some call it divine. Whatever it is, you can call it anything, but Black people are unshakable. So, if America is under a curse, a reckoning, a spiritual consequence, it is not random, it is not accidental, it is not mysterious. It is the echo of every injustice that was never corrected. It is the weight of history finally demanding payment. And here's the truth. America can still change, but not until it faces everything it tried to hide. What do you think? Is America